hope that you are having just the most wonderful day. I'm going to be sharing some of the meals that I had this week, and I just hope that it gives you some inspiration for meals that you can make too that are simple, easy, and always delicious, and of course plant-based. This morning I am going to start off with some overnight oats. I had previously prepped this. If you have not seen that video already, some of the things I had previously prepped ahead of time, and it's in a video of just my weekly meal prep, and I will link that down below for you if you want to go ahead and watch that. But I am using some of this matcha powder to make it taste like matcha, of course, and just some of the overnight oats that I prepped, mix that together. And this actually came out super yummy, and it tasted just like a matcha drink, which was so funny to me. But I just added some strawberries, some maple syrup, and some hemp seeds, and that was it for this morning's breakfast. It was so yummy, delicious, and yeah, just a great start to my morning. Now for lunch, I decided to make some tofu in the air fryer, and this is some, again, that I prepped. And while that is heating up, I am going to be putting my frozen broccoli in the microwave, and Costco has the best broccoli, hands down. And I'm also going to be prepping some veggies. This also could have been prepped ahead of time, but I didn't do it just to save some extra time during the weekend. But now I pay the price and I have to prep it now, but it's okay. So I'm going to be making some carrots and some cucumbers for my sushi inspired bowl. I also wanted to share a really easy hack that actually allows your rice to cook so much better, especially if it's leftover rice. That way it's not crunchy or hard, and it's just placing an ice cube at the top, and it doesn't fully end up melting. It just ends up coming out fresher than if you were to just stick it in the microwave as is. So that's a hack for you. Now time to put together this delicious sushi bowl, and I'm just going to be adding in some rice, add in my broccoli, my carrots, my cucumber, and of course top it off with the crispy tofu. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to be adding in some avocado, sprinkling some everything bagel seeds, add some sriracha, some soy sauce, and that is pretty much it for this bowl. It is so yummy. And another thing that goes great on this would be like spicy mayo, but I didn't end up making it this day, but spicy mayo on this is so good. And with my lunch, I'm going to be having my daily greens from Compliment. This stuff is amazing. It's so delicious and just so refreshing. So I am happy to have this every single day. Moving on to dinner, I am going to be having these lima beans, and I'm gonna just kind of go with it and add some tomato paste and some seasonings to this. And to be completely honest and transparent with you, I think I should have rinsed off the lima beans before cooking them. I just added the liquid that it came in, but honestly, it just came out a very weird texture. I made them once for my daughter already, and she loved them, and the way that I made hers came out so much better than I made mine. That usually tends to happen. I don't know why. It was good, but I do think that the lima beans needed to be rinsed off before I started cooking with them, because it made the sauce just a weird clumpy texture. So that was my bad, but all in all, I really did like this. As you'll see later, I paired it with rice, and I don't know, I think I would, for next time, I would just have it just on its own, like a little kind of lima bean soup. Yes, still with some tortillas, and I topped it off with tapatio. But other than that, it wasn't bad. I would definitely make it again. I just think for next time, for sure, I will be rinsing off the lima beans. And I did want to show you how I make my easy tortillas. It is so easy. I just add some maseca flour, and I just add some water, and I will leave the measurements for this down below. But it really is a little tricky sometimes, because you kind of just have to eyeball it, and I think the more you do it, the more you get the hang of it. And to make these little like plastic wraps, if you could tell, they're like IKEA sandwich bags, and I just think they work perfectly. And I don't know if there's such a thing as like actual tortilla pressed like plastic thingies. Sorry, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, I just do that, put that on the stove, and then once it's like almost cooked at the bottom, I flip it. And my mom taught me that when the tortillas fluff up, it's when they're like perfect, when you've done a tortilla perfectly. And I didn't do all of them perfectly, but that one came out perfect. And I think that was the only one that came out absolutely perfect. And I'm just putting it together with some white rice and some broccoli, and that was pretty much it for dinner. And now as a snack, I love snacking on fruit throughout the day, and today I'm having some oranges. Now it is the next day, so good morning again. We are going to start off with some coffee. I have recently been obsessed with going back to making my lattes. For a little while I was into cold brew, but then out of nowhere, I think now as the weather here in Florida is finally getting a little bit cooler, I am enjoying my lattes once more, and I am happy about that. So I am just adding in some brown sugar and some cinnamon powder in my mug, and then I add 2 shots of espresso, froth up my milk. I love to use oat milk for lattes, and I'm just gonna pour in my milk, and then it makes a perfect latte. So that is how I started my morning off today. As for breakfast, I am warming up my 2 sweet potatoes. The purple sweet potatoes, guys, are amazing. They are so sweet. I wouldn't say they taste like cake, but they are delicious. So not cake, but still so good. And I'm just going to be pairing it with some sliced pears and some sliced apples, and going to be adding some cinnamon powder and some peanut butter to my sweet potatoes. Now for lunch, I made my daughter some rice with some tomato paste and some garlic powder, and I paired it with some tofu and some broccoli, avocado, and some green dragon salsa. So good. And I also decided to prep some more sweet potatoes for my husband because he has some bowls, and I'm just here watching a YouTube video. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, and so I'm just, you know, chilling, making food while I watch that. But I just added my seasonings, and I am going to roast these in the oven for a while. And they didn't prep in time for dinner. They definitely required more time than I added. Yeah, but this is what I made, and the little beans came out really crunchy and really good. And for dinner, I added the iceberg lettuce. I made the white rice. That stuff is so good. I added some of the beans and some tofu, avocado, and the green dragon hot sauce. Now the next morning, I made myself some more overnight oats, but this time I topped it with some peaches and some yogurt and some hemp seeds and some maple syrup, and it came out so good. I love overnight oats. They're just so delicious, and you can make them so many different ways. And for lunch, I am having this sweet potato white rice bowl with some tofu and some iceberg and some avocado, and this was so yummy, and the sweet potato tasted more like a dessert. It was so good. And I had this paired alongside my iced matcha, just matcha powder, maple syrup, and some oat milk. And for dinner, I decided to make myself another sushi style bowl, and yeah, same ingredients as last time. And someone at my husband's job gave him some vegan chocolate chip cookies, so I had to have one. And with my cookie, I am going to be having my daily greens. If you have tried this already, please let me know down in the comments, because this stuff is seriously amazing and I am obsessed with this. And along with my mealtime, I am going to be taking my supplement. I take the multivitamin from Complement, and it's just so easy. I just take 3 and yeah, just have it during my mealtime. Now for the next day, I decided to make my daughter some mini pancakes, and I love having some alongside her, because if I'm going to make pancakes for her, then I might as well have some myself. So I'm just gonna start off with blending some oats and it's about a little bit over a cup of rolled oats, and I will link the reel that I found on Instagram for these down below. I do change it up a little bit in terms of like the milk ratio. I do a cup of milk instead of I think it calls for 2/3 of milk, but I add a full cup just to change up the consistency of the mix. But to my oats, I'm going to be adding in 1 banana, and I like to add some cinnamon powder, so that's what I'm gonna do. Sometimes I add the pumpkin spice powder. It all depends on what I want that specific day, but I'm going to be adding in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and a full cup of soy milk. And once it's all nice and blended up, we are going to be adding some plant-based butter to my pan just to prevent any sticking. And I'm just going to be adding in a tablespoon into my pan, and it's going to make these little tiny pancakes, and they're so cute. And I think cute pancakes taste better than normal sized pancakes. And as for my topping, I am going to add some frozen blueberries in my mug and put them in the microwave for a couple minutes. And once they thaw, they are going to make this delicious blueberry jam. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to top it off with some peanut butter and some hemp seeds. And this stuff is so yummy. You could also add maple syrup if you want, but I think the blueberries are sweet enough. As for a snack today, I am going to be having my cucumber with some of this chile lime seasoning from Trader Joe's. It makes for just delicious cucumbers. It's so good. And for lunch, finishing up some of the ingredients that I had in my fridge. And that is pretty much it for lunch. Now for dinner, I realized that I had some of the cream cheese left in the fridge, and it would have probably gone bad within the next day or so. So for dinner, I actually decided to make myself a bagel, which typically I have for breakfast, but who cares, you know? It also sounded good. So I decided to use the leftover Miyoko's cream cheese. This is my favorite cream cheese and I highly recommend it. It's so yummy, such a delicious spread. And I love the Dave's Killer bagels. So I'm going to be having that with some grapes and some kiwi. And I like to top off any bagel, even if it's a blueberry bagel, with everything bagel seasoning. I just love the taste of it, and so yeah, that's what I'm having for dinner. Now, the final day, and for the last day, I usually tend to run out of the main things that I meal prep. So I am down to this, and it was a very busy morning. So I am having this Silk almond milk chocolate yogurt, as well as this granola. And this sounds so weird, but I made a sandwich with just the leftover tofurkey that we had and some avocado. And I had my coffee, and that was pretty much it for my breakfast. Sounds weird, but hey, you gotta work with what you got, and I don't want anything to go bad, so that's what I put together. Now for lunch, I did have my tofu, my curry tofu that I prepped for my daughter. So I was making her this, but I also decided to have it myself. But I just put that in a pan with some water. I added some rice and some spinach, and I paired it alongside this Indian style bread that I got at Trader Joe's. And that was pretty much it. It was nothing fancy. It wasn't the absolute best meal, but hey, it was good. And for dinner, same thing. It was another weird day, you know, having run out of just most of the things that I prepped. So I ended up having another bagel with some cinnamon powder and some almond butter. And I also paired that with my matcha. And that was pretty much it for what I ate this week. I hope that you got some inspiration on meals that you can make too. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye.